Hello, I am Michael Carini, and this is my senior cat, Mimi. I'm a full-time career artist. I call my process acrylic alchemy, and it is about utilizing or transmuting your darkness, your pain, into something beautiful. And in doing so, you take away the power that it holds over you. Through my work, I like to explore the interaction and intersections of time, space, and reality, something that I deal with as an artist that is neurodivergent and dealing with traumatic brain injury on this perpetual journey of recovery. The collection I've been focused on lately is my Portals to a Better Place, and I like to capture the moments between the breaths, the echoes of the soul. In college, one of my instructors was Carm Good, who was the creator of the characters for Otter Pops. And one of the valuable lessons that Carm taught me was that illustration, art, is utilizing whatever it takes and doing whatever it takes to get the job done. And so that's how I view the process of art, is utilizing whatever it takes and doing whatever I need to do to tell the story. There are definitely formulaic elements to my work, but I always try not to be too rigidly formulaic, because although I have a great appreciation for science and the components of alchemy, I want to make sure that I am still making art and that I'm always exploring and continuing to be on this journey to find myself. One of the things that I'm known for is my signature brushstroke. It's a brushstroke unlike any other artist in the history of art. And what my brushstroke really is it's the physical manifestation of my Tourette's. So I actually learned to utilize my Tourette, something that somebody else might see as a hindrance or a disability, and to use it to find my authentic voice, because that's who I am. And through my art, I am sharing my stories. I am putting myself into the art. After the traumatic brain injury from my car accident, I just went right back into the studio. I didn't have clarity. I couldn't clear my thoughts or process information, and sometimes I still struggle with that. But I just put it in the art. If I felt jumbled or couldn't figure things out, then I put it in the art. If I had a moment of clarity, I put it in the art. Whatever I feel, I put it in the art. I feel like as long as you do that, you can't really go wrong. The Tourette's, the traumatic brain injury, they don't define me, but they are parts of who I am. They're tools in my repertoire, like anything else, like a palette knife or like another tool that I might use for my art. And I've learned to embrace them and to accept who I am. And art has helped me to accept who I am and to share who I am, to hopefully help others accept who they are or find out who they are. I've always felt out of place, and art's been the only way that I could really ever communicate with the world. I feel like, in a way, I wasn't necessarily discouraged from my dream, but I don't feel like I was really supported either. I was always told, well, it's up to you, whatever you want to do, you're on your own. And so when it was time to make a choice, I chose to go to art school, but I had to put myself through school. I didn't come from a family that was into the arts or that even is into the arts today. In fact, I think my family's only been to a couple of my shows in the past decade. Now, they did move away, so it's understandable now, but even when I had shows here in San Diego, I can't say that my family was really into the arts. And so it's something that I've always had to do because it's my passion, it's my dream, and I've had to remind myself it's my dream. It's not up to anybody else to care. And so I have to decide if I'm going to make it happen or not. I went to art school at Loyola Marymount in LA. I moved from San Diego up to LA because I felt like it was a better art scene to become immersed in, even if I was going to move back to San Diego, where I am today. And I found a great mentor in Jane Brucker. And Jane Brucker introduced me to her mentor, Roland Reese. And for a semester or two, I would go visit Roland at the brewery complex in downtown Los Angeles. And I would help Roland work on his pieces that he was preparing for museum and gallery shows. And To be beside an artist of that magnitude was just such an incredible experience. And I have to say that the experience of finding a mentor outside of school was just as valuable as the education that I had at the university. And earlier on in my career, I was actually known for being a representational artist. I used to do these hyper realistic dogs on abstract color grids, and people started to know me as the dog guy. And once I felt like I had cultivated my abilities and that I could create anything that I wanted to, I became more interested in exploring the boundaries of the mind in abstract art. And with abstract art, I actually find it to be a challenge because the greatest challenge for me is letting go. And if I'm painting a painting of a dog, I know what the dog is supposed to look like. But when you're telling a story through abstract language, who's to say? I guess just you.
I lost my father to suicide before I was a year old, and it's something that I've struggled with myself. I had an assault and battery in 2009, and I was on the colorful end of that. The woman that I loved disappeared in 2015 and still hasn't been found. And in 2023, I had a violent car crash that gave me another traumatic brain injury. There's a lot of pain, and I need somewhere to put that. And that's why I'm so grateful for art and for acrylic alchemy, the ability to utilize that darkness and to turn that into something positive and beautiful for the world, because I think people really need hope right now. They need something to believe in. And a lot of times I feel like what I'm doing is I'm trying to create hope for others because I need something to believe in right now. It's all I have left is hope. I put it all in the art, the good, the bad, the trauma, the pain, the struggles. There's a lot of darkness, a lot of pain that I have, but I'm able to share that and turn it into something beautiful through that process of acrylic alchemy, through painting, through art. The advice that I would give to any artist is the advice that I would give to myself: to share your story, to be authentic, to be raw, to be vulnerable, and to put that out there. And I think that if you do that, no matter how it looks aesthetically, there's beauty there. There's someone out there that can relate to that, somebody that can appreciate that. And that's why, even though my work doesn't always fit into the mainstream, I feel that I'm being true to myself. I'm being authentic, and someone out there will connect with that. I've never been a fan of the word coaching, and I don't even know how I really feel about the term mentor because I'm in the thing and I know how I feel about myself. But I do try to help other artists on this journey because I know what a struggle it's been for me. And I know where I would be or not be if I didn't have my art. And I want to lighten the burden and make the path a little bit easier for those behind me. I don't want them to have to feel the weight that I did or to carry the burdens that I had to carry. I think it's natural for people to want to fit in, but I'm somebody that can never really fit in because I'm just wired a little differently. And I ultimately had to come to the conclusion that maybe I wasn't meant to fit in, that maybe I was meant to stand out. And that's not a bad thing. In fact, it's a good thing. But the art world is funny because it's like we kind of want to fit in because we want to be part of the conversation, but we also want to stand out at the same time. So there's like this weird sweet spot. And being in the art world, it's unlike any other industry. There's other industries where there's certain rules or protocols or ways to have success. And in the art world, it is a roller coaster. And what works one day doesn't work the next. And what doesn't work one day may work the next. With helping other artists, I'm not trying to convince anybody of my way or my methodologies or trying to preach any type of doctrine. I'm trying to help people find their own voice, their own authentic voice. Even if that means, and particularly if that means that their voice is not mine, their voice should not be mine. Their voice should be their own. Your voice should be your own.
I have had some successes on this journey and I'm grateful for them, but I've also had a lot of failures. I've had many more failures. And I try to be very transparent about that, to share the totality of the journey because I think a lot of us get disillusioned by social media and the glory moments that people project. And I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that artist. I want to be honest with people about the journey. I think that it absolutely is worthwhile and I think that it is possible. But it is hard. But in life, we got to choose our hard because security is an illusion. And I'd rather fight for my dream than for somebody else's. So Monday, I had this wild unicorn of a day where I sold 6 paintings to a collector. And like I said, it was a unicorn of a day. That does not happen all the time. But it brought me back to a conversation that I was recently having with another artist because of the struggles with the art market right now, the struggles with the economy, all the struggles with the world. People are not buying as much art right now because they don't have the expendable income. And so I'm having to navigate that and find creative solutions. And as artists, I feel like that is the way to find creative solutions, and just simply refuse to quit, to have this obstinate refusal to quit and to just be willing to keep going, that if you keep going, that it might just be possible. But the conversation I was having with an artist was, is it a good idea to go back and get a job? And we were talking about getting a job here in Southern California, making $17 an hour in this case. And I pass no judgment on anybody for doing what they need to do, for choosing their own path and for what's right with them. You know your circumstances, I don't. We all have to make our own choices and choose our heart. But what I said to them was, if you take a job making $17 an hour for that contract period, what you will earn is $17 an hour. But as an artist working for yourself, you could wake up on any given day and make $1,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 more. There's no cap, but there's also no guarantees. But I look back on Monday, that great unicorn of the day, and I think about how many months I would have had to work at that job at $17 an hour to earn that. And that's why I'm so glad that I stay firm and committed to my dream. And I refuse to ever look back. This is all that I do. I don't have another job. I used to, and I decided to get rid of that because I feel like the plan B was what was holding me back for so long. I always thought that I needed a parachute to prevent me from falling. But ultimately, I came to the conclusion that the parachute was preventing me from flying. And it was only by getting rid of that and going all in on my dream that I could really find out what was possible. And that's the journey that I'm navigating right now. I'm trying to find out what's really possible. I am always up to something. In my brain, it never stops. It just keeps going and going and going. But you can find much more at CariniArts.com. You can find me on my Linktree, and that will show you everywhere that you can join me on this journey. I try to share the processes, the behind the scenes. I try to give some artist support, help other people on this journey. I'm in this for passion and for purpose. This is my calling. This is what I was born to do.